Welcome to Poltergeist Board Games, and thank you for joining today. I have Glenn Saunders. He's a gamer, creative guy, and just an all-around good guy.
Thanks, appreciate that.
So this segment that I'm going to be doing is called 10 Questions with and whoever the participant is that week. So let's start off. Why don't you do a little introduction about yourself?
Well, geez, I don't know. I'm just in retirement age now. I've been wargaming since I was about 12 or 13 years old with Avalon Hill. Played board games till I got a computer, and then I did a little bit of computer games for a bit. Then I got right heavy into computer war games, but the computer games I was doing were just board games done for a computer. And then I kind of got away from it because it started to become too much work. And little by little, I got back to a few board games, and then the pandemic came along, and I picked up a game and started playing it, and I thought, geez, I could have helped out with this and done a better job if I had seen it before they published it. And it went from there. So and then it became all the charts and everything else and helps and things, which things that I can see that can make make the game better. So yeah, pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah.
So question one I had was, how did you get into war games? So I guess that's
Avalon Hill. Africa Corps was my very first game. It cost $8 at a department store. A friend of mine had always talked about Blitzkrieg, and he found Blitzkrieg. And then when I found Africa Corps, Africa has been a bit of a favorite spot for my gaming and all along. So that was really my very first game or first introduction to war games. So yeah.
Well, okay. So the second one you covered there was, what was the game? So Africa Corps by Avalon Hill.
Africa Corps by Avalon Hill, for sure, would be the game I'd talk about.
So question number 3, what is your favorite game?
Oh,
do you have one? I know it's hard to pin down one game.
It really is hard to pin down one game because, this game, the game on my table at any given time is my favorite, and then I move on, and I don't go back to too many after I played it. I have gone back and played Greg Smith's Compass Night Fighter Ace. When I got it, I played it a bit. I put it away, took it out again, and played it. I played it a few times that way. So I kind of lean that way. Of course, Warfighter. I've only been doing Warfighter for a year and a half, and I have virtually a whole set of World War II. What I don't have of World War II, I don't really want. So
yeah, you've shown me your pictures of your war chest that you have of all the cards. It's
oh my God, yes, and that's I'm kind of looking forward to getting to the 2023 errata when it finally arrives, and but that'll be when it gets here, I'll integrate that and play it a bit. But yeah, so it's really hard to pick a favorite, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I have games that sit on my shelf of shame right now that I'm still trying to get to the table. Like Combat that I just got, and Stuka Leader, still trying to get that to the table.
Stuka Leader is a great game. Chuck Seeger did an amazing job with that. I helped him out with some of the campaign sheets and the charts, and the 2 charts in the back of the book for what aircraft are in what campaign. That was something that I thought was a nice addition to the game. But yeah, Chuck agreed. We went from there.
Get that on the table soon. What's on your table now?
Well, my table. Well, actually, I have a couple of tables. The table in front of you is my main war game. Table in front of me here has Western Front Ace, and I'm still pushing the cardboard counters around. I'm in the online campaign, and I haven't started that third section of missions yet, but that's kind of that's what I'll have to say is on my table, and it's going to stay there for a bit, I think. Now behind me, I have a kind of a test table, and back there right now, I'm transitioning between a couple of Vince Cooper projects for DVG. One is called Merville Battery, which when we were talking about favorite games, that was one of the ones I was almost going to mention. It hasn't been produced yet, but oh my God, it's going to be a tremendous game there. But we're going to put that one aside and do some further testing and refinement on Valiant Defense Guadalcanal, which is kind of described as Pavlov's house in the jungle, where instead of individual soldiers, they're going to be units. There's a lot of moving pieces around, and I've had the rule book for a bit, and we've looked through the components. And a friend of mine, Shane Freshwater in Britain, has been doing a lot of work trying to turn Vince's creative design into something that we can visualize better for play testing. And he's done a tremendous job with that. And so I'll be getting that out and on the table soon enough. So that's table 2. I've also got the dining room table right now because Bob Fanuff at Fortress Games has come out with those second edition games. And I was playing 8th Air Force last week, and I did it must have been the lining up of the stars or something, the way he says my 1943 went. And I do know it's not just lucky die rolls. It was a calculated risk, but some things went my way as well. So I was almost half accepting the challenge of replaying at least 1943 and see how far along I can get. I put a post up just before this, which said, okay, here's my setup and here's my thinking. So anybody who's not just casually looking at the game, who's really starting to think or play the game, I put up a very interesting post on the Solitaire War Games that'll talk about my strategy of managing risk and calculating risk to hit the right targets and to ignore the fluff that Bob has kind of put out there to dazzle you and attract your attention when you really need to pay attention elsewhere. So anyway, that's a tremendous game. And I had the first edition, and I wasn't impressed with the quality of the components. And I opened it up, I kind of looked at it, I bought it from a guy, and I just put it away. And only when the second editions were coming that I really brought out this one on the table, or I brought out the first edition, and knowing I was going to have a proper game of it, I really, really had a lot of fun with it. And I've also got that 20th Air Force, which is the bombing of Japan. And I've been reading World War II history and gaming World War II history for a long, long time. And then when 20th Air Force came along, I realized I knew very little about the B-29 campaign over Japan. Very, very little. So I read the book that Bob used when he created it, and watched a bunch of lectures online from different universities, and I've been fascinated by it. So it's on its way. It just left Hawaii. It left Miami International last night. So it should be here Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll look to get it on my table as soon as I can. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, those are 2 games on my wish list.
Yeah, Two excellent games. And that's Fortress, and that company is the little engine that could, as I see it. They're just a little guy, and partly why I've really been giving them a lot of air on the Solitaire War Games page is because those games are tremendous, and because it's not a big company, he doesn't get the exposure. So we're going to give him some good exposure there if we can. That's for sure.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 5. Now, as I mentioned, you're very creative. What drives your creativity? Because you're always working on some kind of chart or a spreadsheet to further a game.
Well, it's not to one up the designer or anything like that. I'll guarantee you that. It's more just putting the right info in front of you to play the game. And Western Front Ace is a great example. I had a chance to see this material long before it was produced, and there was so much of it. I could have printed a copy and printed some of the material and done some print and play and played it. But I thought, no, this game looks so fantastic. I want to wait till the bitter end, till the game comes to actually sit down and savor and enjoy the gorgeous art that Ian Wedge in England created. I didn't want to ruin it with a playtest version. And as soon as I got the game, and there's a massive thickness of aircraft counters, like these are the different aircraft sheets that are part of it. So the very first thing I ran into was, oh my God, where's the SOP with camel? Well, my chart that you helped me with, that one was, tells you right, didn't just put the factors and stuff in it. It told you, it started off as, where the hell is my SOP with camel? It's on the back of the pup. And then, okay, what else do I need with it to find the stuff? So I don't know. I guess when I started with Target for Tonight and I took it out of the box, this is just pre-pandemic, and I looked at the mission zone chart, and I thought, not only were the things on the chart in the wrong order, and you need like one sheet of paper does just 2 zones. I mean, you'd be going through reams and reams of paper. But I just thought, oh, there's a better way of doing this. There has to be a better way of doing it. So I don't look for them, but they find me. So yeah.
All right, question 6.
Yeah.
What's your next purchase?
Purchase? Well, I already purchased the Compass game, Sensukian, the Japanese submarine game. So that I can't say that one because Compasses are. I already pressed the button prepay, so that would have been it. I was looking at Pearl Harbor and Forgotten Front on Legion games last night. But also, as late as today, I started looking at Fortress games, and they have that Save Vietnam and Save Afghanistan comrade. I might be inclined to pull the trigger on one of those next.
I've heard great things about the Vietnam game.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the Vietnam War. I was a boy when it was on, and I didn't understand it because I didn't understand the concept of the guerrilla war. Like for me, it was World War II, and the front where the Allies pushed the Germans back, and you could see things on a map. I couldn't see things on a map in Vietnam, and so I don't know how it is all put together. But I had a look at a video, and it looks pretty enticing. White Dog's got a game called Mogadishu, which is also very interesting. One of my buddies bought a copy of that, and it looks enticing. See, with me, Scott, I don't buy a lot of games and stick them on the shelf. I buy a game and I buy it to play it, and I play the crap out of it, to get my value out of it, and then I put it away, and hopefully it comes out again. So so I don't just I don't have a long line of them racked up to buy, and I got some stuff on my shelf of shame here to the side that I got to get back out and get to the table. So you know, I'm a little tight with, and you said buy. I do get some stuff from some people. The games that I work on that uh, the designer rewards me with a copy of. Otherwise, I would have mentioned Joe Fernandez's Storm of Steel. I mean, that's going to be a tremendous game covering Stukas on the East Front. Joe is a really creative designer. I've looked at a number of his games. Every one of them is different, so he doesn't just do things and then take that model to the next game and apply it to the next game. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but every one of Joe's games that I've looked at is our series lines have been very, very different. And it's, if somebody's interested in that aspect of war, man, that Storm of Steel by Compass Games, I think December or January of this year, January of next year, it'll be out. It's going to be a great game.
It looks really good. I can't wait to play that one.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. If you could change something in the industry, what would it be?
I I guess that was one of the toughest questions, I think, Scott, because I don't know. I guess companies need to listen to the gaming community. There's an example. I don't want to drag the company name out, where we've been talking about how we handle the rule book and whether things are separated or divided by games and stuff like that. I mean, they just have to listen and get on with that, because otherwise, and companies have to make sure that the games that they produce are playable from the point of view of a new person entering in. They don't have to be all ultra simple games, but you don't have to have played the first game in the series to be able to play the second and the third. And while I'm saying that and not mentioning names, there's multiple companies and games and lines that come to mind as I'm saying it. So, so make sure that you keep it simple, that you document everything, and you make it dead easy for a new player to come into the game without having to know a lot of background from previous games. So that's how I'd handle that question, Scott.
I agree. It's hard because sometimes you want to get like a series, but you're not sure if you want to start at the beginning or if the third game in the series is actually the best game because they've learned from their mistakes along the way. So, that's tough. All right, number 8. If you had all the tools and resources, what game would you create? Money was no object and you had everything at your disposal. What would you create?
Honestly, Scott, I don't know. It would be World War II, because that is my favorite period. But
is there a conflict that you haven't?
No, there isn't. I have enjoyed, land, sea, and air games almost equally. Although I'm more Army based. My background was Army Cadets, Army Reserve, not the Navy or the Air. But I don't know what I would build that way or what medium I would use it on, because I've got quite a background in computer war games as well. I did a lot of work with John Tiller in the Panzer Campaign series for many years. 20, 30 different games at different levels where I've been involved in the production of. Some just testing, others where I was the coordinator or the project leader. I built Panzer Campaigns Alamein when John Tiller told me, Glenn, I don't have any time next year to build games. I got a big contract. And I said, well, John, I'm going to build you Alamein, and you don't have to do anything other than just give me the executable that works with the CD for that title. It was all CDs back then. And, you know, my buddy and I built it from scratch, you know. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know which one. There's no one kind of spot. I do jump from things to another, from the World War stuff. One era in front of us. I'm looking forward to Atlantic Sentinel when Greg gets that one out. I don't know anything about Japanese submarines, which is why Brett Grimmon's Sensukian attracts my attention. I kind of like to go to different places to learn about different aspects, things that I haven't played before. So, and yet I still have Enemy Coast Ahead, the Doolittle raids over there on my shelf of shame, and acquired secondhand, and I just haven't had a chance to get it on the table, you know. So, but yeah, so I jump around quite a bit.
Yeah, many games and not enough time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, question 9. What is the most memorable gaming experience you've had? If you can think of one.
You know, I think I'm going to go back to there was a warfighter mission I was playing. I was doing the Dieppe deck. That's Brett Grimman design. And I don't know if, how much people know of the Dieppe raid and the Canadians at Dieppe, and even the new information about the reason behind the raid, because this is a divisional level raid that's all about pinching an Enigma gear at German headquarters. And the author of the James Bond series was the fella at Naval Intelligence. And he was in a boat offshore with his man, a fella by the name of Baker, which is a British card in that deck. And, you know, Baker's job is to get to the Hotel Moderna to get this Enigma gear. In warfighter terms, it's capture the major. And on the last turn, on the last action, I stumbled forward, took a hit instead of a suppression from the last shot, and while wounded, took down the major on the last turn in the last action of the mission to win the game. And I think that one's kind of sitting pretty sweet to me. And that's going back to that's just about 2 years ago when I was playing that, and it was a hell of a lot of fun, that's for sure.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, number 10.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite game mechanic, like a hex encounter, campaigns, roll and write, etc.?
No, I don't. And in fact, one of the thing that attracted me first about Warfighter was the fact that it was so different than anything I'd played. So it's not hex encounter like you know, the old Avalon Hill Third Reich or Africa Corps, or you know, I had the Third World War series, the 4 games that Compass has just remade. I have the original ones of that, which is traditional, you know, hexes. You know, I like nice things in a game. So the air leaders, I love all the cards and the binders of cards. And, you know, I've recently got the, you know, those card trays, and I was the guy behind, you know, backing them, getting people involved in using them, because they really add to the feel of the game. And and now it's these little 8mm wooden blocks that I use them when I'm playing Western Front Ace. I use them for the ammo tokens and the tracking the experience points, because you know, every turn you get a quarter of an experience point. Well, what I use these 2 little blocks. One is for the wingman, one is for the the main pilot. So every turn, each one of those boxes is a quarter. So when the fourth one goes in, you take them all away and you add up another experience point. And I like the tactile feel of these little boxes and our little wooden things. And I like my Oregon counter rounder, but I would never use it on Warfighter or the 8th Air Force type games with the big, heavy, thick laser cut counters. There's no reason to. Those ones are all just gorgeous as they are. But the like the Western Front Ace, I got it all clipped, and so I like stuff like that. I like lots of dice. Like when I'm playing Warfighter, instead of complaining about my terrible dice, I have multiple. I never use the same dice on a back-to-back roll. I roll it and put it away, roll it and put it away, and then I take out all the dice. I like nice things, and so yeah, that's kind of me, and blinging out the games. Little bowls and stuff for counter draws when you're playing Stuka Leader, and you got, I don't know, you got your bandits, you got your bogeys, and you got your sights and your wounds. They're all in these little things. I got a whole pile of these little cups I'm using for that. I picked them up at IKEA, and all kinds of cheesy little things that I've picked up to help bling the games out along the way.
You just got to watch out for the coffee mug, right?
Yeah, and I did that. I was playing.
I remember you
I
almost dropped
posted
it.
a picture, and well, of course the picture was staged, but that was the cup, and that was the situation where I almost dumped a counter into one of those things. And Bob Fanuff in Fortress, he refers to that right in the rule book as a coffee cup. No, Bob, no, don't put it in the coffee cup. Too often there's coffee nearby, So, but yeah. I don't know. I just I enjoy the hobby. I enjoy the games. I go in fits and starts. I didn't really play much at all after the middle of August in Western Front Ace until the online campaign came out, and I was busy, and football started, and I got busy there, and then I had 2 days to get all my missions in, so I played them all almost in 2 sittings and blitzed through it. And I had to do that a second time. And then I was after Ted to sort of say, hey, can I get the missions out so I can savor these and play them slowly? And since then, I've been playing 8th Air Force up in the dining room. So, anyway, I spend more time, I guess, on Facebook and scrolling around and helping people out. That's one thing I guess I'd say is that I've run into a lot of fabulous people on the internet playing war games. I have friends all around the world. At any time of the day, my messenger can bling with somebody who wants to talk about one thing or another. And these people have been, giving me such fantastic help. Dave Macon in Australia, for example, was patient as ever and instrumental in me becoming a big collector of Warfighter and somebody who helps out wherever we can with questions. And I kind of like that up on that Warfighter group, that you can ask a question in real time, and support doesn't the sun never sets on Warfighter support up on the DVG group, because there's somebody there on the time zone 24/7 will answer a question and answer it very, very quickly, and that kind of help, that when you can reach out like that and get help, and that's a fantastic community.
Yeah, and that's how I met you, was asking questions, and you helped me out with Warfighter, and
then you started finding all my mistakes in that chart, which should have been dead simple to do, and I kept making stupid mistakes. But yeah. Anyway, no, I've met some fantastic people I do video chats with Brent Grimmen in Australia, all the time. And almost every second or third day, I'm messaging with, Bob Best in California, just about games and life in general. He's a fantastic friend,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a great community. Like,
it's,
everyone is willing to help one another, and
yep.
it's a really great community.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, Glenn, that's all the questions I had.
All
And,
right.
I really thank you for your time, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all, Scott.
All right.
Glad to be there, and glad you had me. And we'll see if we can put our thinking caps on, and I may be able to find some other people who might sit on the other side of the computer with you and do some other of these. So,
Yeah.
yeah, all righty.
All right.